What's going on, everybody? I am back with another NBA DFS video here. This one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to go over some main concepts of how to succeed at NBA DFS, as well as the KJK DFS premium content tools, the tools that I use every day when building my own NBA DFS lineups, and the tools that are available to you when you purchase them on patreon.com/KJK_DFS. Link below in the description. And yeah, guys, we're going to go over some fundamental concepts, how to succeed, how to figure out the top upside plays on the slate, what I'm looking for, what determines a good play, etc. And using the tools that I provide to dull it down, make it simple, color-coded, figure out these top plays, figure out the best opportunities, the worst teams defensively, the best teams defensively, the most efficient teams shooting, the worst teams shooting, etc. You get the gist, guys. Here to help you out. And help my patrons out as well, who have requested a little bit of more of a step-by-step on how to use these sheets. So towards the end of the video, after we kind of go over how the sheets work and stuff, I already have it up with the filters on and all that stuff on my end. I am the creator of the sheets, obviously, so I do have to have some security things on it. That will, you'll have to take a few steps on your end when you do purchase the package to use it the same way that I'm using it on the screen, but I will cover that at the end of the video, so I promise. We're going to go over how to use it, then we're going to go over how to access it. So, without further ado, guys, if you feel like I do provide you with any valuable content throughout this video, if you could please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload or when I go live, that would be greatly appreciated. And let's get into it. So, as you can see on the screen, I have a sheet up. This is what you'll get every single day when you purchase my premium content package. And you can see the players I have projected, the Vegas lines, the opponent rank against certain positional ranks, and the overall upside for players at their price tag. Fantasy points per dollar as far as Draftkings are concerned, fantasy point per dollar as far as Fanduel is concerned. I offer both of those. You get DK core plays, Fanduel core plays, advanced player metrics, all that stuff, which we will cover as we go along here. But this is my projections hub. So right now we're looking at Draftkings. This was on November 5th, so none of this data is going to be up to date, but for the sake of showing how this works and everything, should work great. So you can see on this slate, we did have various games here, different totals. The first thing that you look at is the spread in the left column in the salary, obviously. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, the most expensive player on the slate, he comes in at 11.8. He's the top projected guy in my projection model for this particular slate, a 3.5 point spread. And you will see, based upon the spread and the totals, it will be color-coded. I have made a few adjustments to make this even better as we go along here, but you'll see things like it being red or green, depending upon whether the game is going to stay close on either side. Oftentimes, though, like I said, the blowout is what it comes down to. So this right here is green. I definitely have made some adjustments. So if the spread is larger, typically you will see a red on my sheet now with the 9-point spread. If the game is expected to be a blowout, obviously you have some concern that your players aren't going to get their full allotment of minutes. So the larger that number, the worse as far as your exposure to the game. So just keep that in mind. The spread, the larger it is, the less likely it is that the game's going to stay close. So that's one thing to look at. Implied total for the respective team that you're targeting, the over-under, really factor in the pace of the game. So you can see De'Aaron Fox, the Sacramento-Charlotte game on this particular slate, came in with a 231 over-under. That's bright green. That is a very good high upside environment that you will want to be targeting, obviously, because the faster the game, the more opportunities, the more possessions, etc., that your players will get, the more fantasy points they can score. That will also be highlighted in the implied total. So the 116.5 implied total for the Sacramento side in this particular spot, going to be a great spot to target. As we move along here, opponent rank. This is the opponent rank as far as their overall defensive ability. So, the entire unit, how they defend. So De'Aaron Fox, you can see the Charlotte Hornets are really not good defensively. That still ranges true to this date when I'm recording this on January 8th. They have been terrible all season long, so they're definitely a good team to target. And you can see on my sheet that they are good to target. Then it breaks it down into position rank, so that's how good they are against that particular position. The point guard position in this case is highlighted for De'Aaron Fox. They are the 20th best team, so that's green. That is a great place to target. If you go down to Jonas Valanciunas taking on the Golden State Warriors, a much better defensive team, you can see they are the second best against the center position in the league. You might not want to be targeting him on that particular night. So that's how that tool is broken down. Next, you have DK points per minute. So this will tell you how many DK points each player scores on a per minute basis. So for every minute that Giannis Antetokounmpo is on the floor, he's scoring approximately 1.79 DK points per minute. That's fantastic production. Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the best DK point per minute producers in the league. So obviously his salary reflects that, but you can kind of narrow down the guys that are good fantasy point producers and guys that aren't. So as we scroll along here, let's find a good case. 0.55 DK points per minute in this case, Doug McDermott. Now keep in mind, this was a 5-game sample size, 127 minutes. You can see the sample size over here on the far right of my sheets, where it does say how many games, how many minutes they played, and how many DK points they've scored overall. But in this particular case, at this point in the season, obviously we have a much larger sample size as the season goes on. Doug McDermott would be an example of a guy that really doesn't produce at the highest rate of DK points. Now, we'll follow up on this because this is a unique example. But let's keep going along. Minutes, obviously the more minutes that your players play, the better play that they're going to be. Fantasy points, DraftKings, that's just overall how many fantasy points are expected to score. Fantasy points per dollar, that's a metric that'll tell you, the value you're getting. And lastly, the multiplier tool. Okay, so the multiplier tool is, you oftentimes hear guys around the industry talk about things like, I want my players to 6x, 7x their salary, 8x their salary, etc. This is a tool that I've built into my projections that's very quick and easy. So all you got to do is go over to the multiplier. You can do this for all of the sheets, everything, DK point per minute, minutes, fantasy point, DraftKings. We'll talk about some more sheets. But if you sort Z to A or A to Z, it will sort it, worst or best. If you go to A to Z, it'll show the worst plays. Z to A, it'll show the best plays. And so on this particular slate, the best play to multiply his salary by the most would be Isaiah Hartenstein on DraftKings. Now you can see his salary. He's the minimum salary. He is only $3,000. His projected minutes are only 17, so he's not getting the most amount of minutes. However, he puts up 1.06 DK points per minute. He's projected to score 21 DraftKings points in my model. The projections tie in a lot of different things. On the back end, the algorithm that I have, pace of game, spread of game, whether it's expected to stay close. All that stuff is factored into the projections. So that's all baked into an equation. You don't even have to worry about that. You do have these references to, determine whether you like it more or less. But point being, he's going to be a really good play at his salary. Now, disclaimer here, he's $3,000, so you could use him, but he's only playing 17 minutes. That's not exactly the best play on a slate necessarily. Now we go down to Patrick Beverley at $4,000, right? He has a 6.4x multiplier. So he's, once again, a fantastic play, one of the best plays on the slate. He's putting up 1.14 DK points per minute on the season. That's fantastic point per minute production. He's expected to play 31 minutes. And it's only a 2.5 point spread, so the game's expected to stay close. Now, he doesn't exactly have the easiest matchup taking on the LA Clippers. You can see here, the opponent ranked 8th overall, best defense at the time. So that might be a little bit of a, not so good thing. But he's got a lot of really good things going for him. So this is a good example of a guy that really grades out as a phenomenal play on this slate, on this particular slate. I mean, 1.14 DK points per minute, really good production, over 30 minutes. He's only 4,000 on the slate, and he has a great multiplier metric of 6.4. So what does that mean? That means Patrick Beverley is a fantastic play, and he's a guy that I would want to be getting a lot of exposure to on this particular slate. So you can see how all that stuff kind of ties together. So that is the projections page. And once again, you can sort all this stuff, Z to A for DK points per minute, the worst, the best. There's a bunch of different guys in here in the formulas as well. As we've gone along this season, guys have gotten signed to like 10-day contracts and stuff, etc. So you will see some of that stuff on my sheets, and that's a very easy fix. Essentially, if you see, you sort, and let's see, for example, A to Z, and you see DK points per minute, div 0, that means that we really don't have a sample size on these guys at this point. So in this particular case, none of these guys had touched the floor. Simple fix, you just click on the filters here at the top, and you would just go down to the div 0, uncheck it, click OK. Now all the results on the sheet will be populated, and you won't have those guys that haven't gotten a sample size. So for example, RJ Nembhard Jr. in this case, 3.5 DK points per minute. You would think great play. If you go over to the sample size column, he played one game in 1 minute. So he came into the game, played 1 minute, and put up 3.5 DK points. So that's obviously a bad example. That's an outlier. The larger the sample size you have, the more accurate the data is, the more you can rely on that projection. So that's just a perfect example there of some different adjustments you can make on the sheets, etc., of all this data that's filed in here. Fanduel and DK core plays also you get on the sheet. So on this particular slate, we just talked about it. Patrick Beverley, he graded out as a great play in my model. If you look at my core plays here, you can see Patrick Beverley is listed. on this particular slate. So I had Patrick Beverley, D'Anthony Melton, De'Aaron Fox, a lot of different things going on my core plays, injury news and stuff, especially as we go along the season. Obviously, the more injuries, the more minutes for certain guys in the rotation, so that will give a bump up to guys. The projections will reflect that, but I'm also looking to look across the board. De'Aaron Fox at 8.4, if you look at my core plays, he's one of my core plays. Why I see a core play? Well, we went over it. This is one of the fastest game environments on the slate. De'Aaron Fox is expected to play 35 minutes. He puts up 0.96 DK points per minute. He has a tremendous matchup. The Charlotte Hornets really don't defend the position well. They don't defend anything too great. It's a 2-point spread. The game is expected to stay close. He's projected for 43.2 DraftKings points. He has a 5.1 multiplier metric. That's fantastic for a pay-up option. How do you determine the best pay-up options? Well, you sort my sheet by DraftKings points and then follow along the most expensive guys and see their multiplier. Domantas Sabonis priced at 9.3. And a 223 over/under, one of the higher total slates on totals on this particular slate. I believe that's the second highest total on this sheet, and puts up 1.16 DK point per minute. It's expected to play 35 minutes with a 5x multiplier. He would be another guy that I would really be interested in paying up for. So you get the point, guys. I think here as we're explaining the sheet, so you get these core plays as well when you sign up for the premium package. These all have my particular reasoning behind them. Your top 3 guards, your top 3 forwards, and your top 3 centers on both Fanduel and Draftkings. As we move further along, advanced player metrics. You get advanced player metrics. So what is this? Every single metric you could possibly need to determine the best play. So one of the ones that I like to sort it by, one of the best ones is usage rate percentage. Usage is very obviously important in NBA DFS. The more usage that a guy gets, the more opportunity that he has to score fantasy points. So you can see I sort Z to A, usage rate. Donovan Mitchell, one of the top usage guys in the league, I should say, the top usage guy in the league at this time with these statistics. So he would be a phenomenal play. He's getting the most amount of usage. We have Luka Doncic, Karis LeVert, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So you can look at their usage, compare it to their projection, the overall over/under, all that stuff that we've talked about. I also have things like turnover percentage, steals percentage, blocks percentage. Steals and blocks, you get 3 points for every block and steal on Fanduel. So I really like to study on Fanduel. You have to know the scoring format of the site that you guys play on. On Fanduel, you get a lot more on Fanduel. You get a lot more points than you do on DraftKings for steals and blocks. You get 3 points. On DraftKings, I think it's only 2. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's a big deal. That's an extra point for every block or steal that you get. Trust me, that pays off in a big way. So. Blocks percentage, let's see. Al Horford, second in the league in blocks percentage. Derrick Jones Jr. was first at the time, but he's not a starter. He doesn't get a lot of minutes. So Al Horford is a perfect example. He's a starter. He plays a lot of minutes. At this particular time, he had played 210 minutes on the season. So, he's a guy that gets a lot of blocks. That's going to give him a bump up on Fanduel. You can also sort it by total rebounds percentage. How many rebounds does a guy get? Andre Drummond, phenomenal rebounder. One of the top rebounders in the league. You can see. Overall, when he's on the court, he's pulling in about 30% of his team's overall rebounds. Second in the league, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is a starter on the Utah Jazz. He gets lots of minutes. He's pulling in approximately 28.45% of his team's overall rebounds when he's on the floor. So his upside when it comes to rebounding is very good. You can sort it by defensive rebounding percentage. You can sort it by offensive rebounding. Effective field goal percentage. So how efficient is a guy when he's out there? How many buckets is he getting? What's his field goal percentage? What is the percentage of shots that he is hitting when he shoots? Mitchell Robinson, 80% of shots. He's a center. He's around the rim. A lot of dunks, a lot of layups, etc. That makes sense. True shooting percentage, all of this stuff. So that's another sheet that I offer here. Injury impact insights. This is just crazy with everything that's going on this year, but this is where you'll see all the injuries. It's almost next to impossible to update this stuff right now with the health and safety protocol stuff that's going on, but this is the sheet that you would see all the injury impact insights. Hopefully we get back to somewhat of a normal, basis on that, and that'll be a little bit easier to update, but this season you're really going to have your notifications on Twitter and stuff, and make sure you're following accounts that update you on injuries. Team stats summary. This is where you'll see the team stats summary. I mean, that's the definition of each sheet does a pretty good job of summarizing it up. So you can see their win-loss record, their win percentage, their expected wins after 82 games, their offensive grade, their defensive grade, their defensive rank, their offensive rank. So, I mean, just simple. I mean, defense ranked 30th overall in the league. Memphis at the time was the worst defense in the league. So what does that tell you? They're probably a good team to target. This is a nice sheet to just kind of determine that. Could also probably come in handy for you bettors against Vegas, honestly. You can see the last 2 weeks points differential rank, the last 2 weeks losses, the last 2 weeks offensive rank, the last 2 weeks defensive rank, so you can see which teams are hot, which teams are not, the spread differential rank, all this fun stuff. This is the kind of stuff I've been looking to. Also, if you think this would really be helpful for you and you'd like me to release a sports betting package, I've been thinking about doing that as well, so just something to throw out there. But this can help you for your DFS lineups as well. Moving further along, team stats, 4 factors. This will tell you the offensive and defensive stats for each particular team. So you can see offensive points per possession. How many points per possession is a team scoring? What's their grade on that? Are they being effective? Are they scoring a lot for every possession that they get? Offensive turnover percentage rank. You can see how many turnovers they're having. So worst in the league would have been Houston. They're turning the ball over a lot. They're turning the ball over 19.9% of the time. So what does that mean? You can target other guys on the other side. They're going to get lots of blocks and steals, most likely. Another thing that you can be factoring into your lineups. Offensive free throw rate. Are they getting to the line a lot? How many free throws are they getting per game? Offensive rebounded percentage. Are they a good offensive rebounding team? The best team in the league at the time was Toronto. Very good at getting offensive rebounds. Defensive rebounds. Defensive points per possession. All that stuff. Defensive turnover. How often are they getting turnovers on defense? Are they a team that's really good in the lane at getting steals? How often are they allowing free throws? Are they a team that hacks a lot? Are they a team that gets in foul trouble? Boston at the time. 21 free throw rate. So that means that they're allowing a lot of free throws. So you get the point. All of these tools can be used right there. I also have the offensive half-court and putbacks tool. This is a fantastic tool. Points per possession, half-court points per play rank, half-court offensive rebound percentage rank. So how often is this team grabbing rebounds in the half-court? Offensive, the #1 team, Utah. So Utah Jazz, we're doing a fantastic job of grabbing offensive rebounds. Putbacks. Putbacks are obviously when you grab the offensive rebound and then you lay the ball in and you convert. #1 team in the league, Utah. Once again, fantastic. That probably has a lot to do with Rudy Gobert, who we talked about earlier in the video. Putbacks point per play rank, putbacks plays per miss. So, you know, it's all telling you how often they're getting the ball back and how often they're getting conversions and how often you can rely on them to get more. Defensive half-court and putbacks tool. I think as I'm going along here, you're probably grasping this, but I have a tool for every single thing. So on defense, which teams are allowing the most offensive rebounds? So half-court offensive rebound percentage rank. 30th in the league on defense is Minnesota. So Minnesota is giving up a lot of rebounds. So they're a great team to be targeting. You can see it's bright green. They're a great team to be targeting when you're wanting to, you know. So for instance, Rudy Gobert is a fantastic rebounder. If Rudy Gobert is playing Minnesota, in this case, it's a great spot to target. So you get it. That's how you would take advantage of that. Points per possession rank. Once again, this is defensively. So if I sort it 30th, Memphis is allowing the most points per possession. They're 29th in half-court points per play rank. They're 12th in offensive rebound percentage given up. They're 19th, or I'm sorry, they're 23rd in points per miss rank as far as allowing putbacks. So you can use this sheet to determine that. Then I have offense transition. You can see transition frequency rank, transition points per play rank, offensive steals, frequency, their rank of getting those steals, offensive live rebounds, frequency, etc. Defensive transition, once again, this is where you can determine which teams are allowing transition a lot. So let's say all transition frequency. So Detroit is allowing teams to get out in transition 19.9% of the time when they're giving up a rebound. So they're a team that you want to target when their opponents are facing them, obviously, because their teams are going to get out in transition a lot and get a lot of points in the transition category, you would think, because they are 28th overall in points per possession rank in the transition setting. 18th in points per possession rank in the points per possession rank in transition. So you get the point. There's a half-court offensive defense. There's a transition offense and defense. Then I have offensive shooting and defensive shooting frequency. So this one will tell you how often is an offense shooting particular shots. Who's shooting the most threes? Well, let's see. All three percentage. 45% threes for Utah. That's still ranked true to this point in the season. I know Utah shoots a ton of threes, so they're #1 in the league in shooting three-pointers. Now, if you go to the defensive shooting frequency, let's see who's allowing the most 3-pointers. 30th in the league is Miami, so Miami's allowing the most 3-pointers to be attempted against them. So what does that mean? If Utah's facing Miami and they shoot the most threes, and Miami's allowing the most threes and allowing the best shooting percentage against the 3-point, obviously this is all old statistics, so keep that in mind, but this is an example. That would be a fantastic time to target Utah. So that's great stuff there. Offensive shooting accuracy. Which teams are shooting the best as far as actually converting? Let's see the 3-pointers. New York was #1 in the league as far as their efficiency from 3-point land at the time in the season. This is obviously going to be updated now, but really good at shooting the 3-ball. So that would be a good thing to determine. Defensive shooting accuracy. Who's allowing the most threes to be made against them? Detroit. We talked about Detroit being terrible defensively on some other sheets on my premium content tools. Now we can see Detroit is allowing a ton of different threes to be made against them. They're allowing a ton of mid-range shots. They're good inside against inside shots at the rim, so that's a little bit ironic. They're the best team at the rim. So what does that mean for us? That means we want to target the 3-point shooters. We don't want to target the big men, most likely. The big men aren't going to be that efficient inside. Detroit's been very good at defending that. So that is all my sheets, guys. That is a good overall breakdown of how these work. And these are the tools that I use every day. They're very effective. They will teach you, which teams are best, which teams to target, which guys project out the best, all of that fun stuff. So I think we did a pretty good job of summing that up. We talked about a lot of concepts. We talked about what makes a guy a good play, high totals, close games, good projections, injuries being out. The more guys that are injured and the more minutes they get, obviously the better they're going to grade out in my projections when you sort it by the multiplier tool, when you sort it by overall Draftkings points, etc. And the projections do factor in pace of game, injuries, more minutes, more usage, all that fun stuff. So I think we did a pretty good job of breaking that down. If you have any questions, certainly do leave me a comment down below. I will gladly help you. This is a video designed to help you win more NBA DFS, so I hope this has been helpful. And to close out the video, I would like to explain exactly how you can start using this sheet, what you'll see when you get access to it, etc. So let's go ahead, transition over to that, break that down real quick for anyone that does purchase the package so that you aren't confused, and we can kind of sum that up and help you out. Alright guys, now we are at my premium content page. So this is patreon.com/KJK_DFS. I have that link below in the description of all of my videos. This is where you would come to purchase the premium NBA package. Now I've had a lot of questions on how to use the sheets once you do. So you can see right here, $19.99, the KJK DFS NBA package. You would click join. When you click join, I'm not logged into an account right now. You would be logged into your Patreon account. Obviously you would purchase that. And when you do, I'm going to get an email saying that you had purchased the NBA package. When I do, I'm going to send you a message on Patreon, welcoming you to the team, thanking you for supporting me, letting you know that if you need anything to reach out, you'll get that message. You can message me on Patreon whenever you need. And when you do get access, you're going to need to send me a message. It's all through Google Sheets, so you will get an email at the email associated with your Patreon account that I have given you access to the spreadsheet. So you're going to need to check your email, and when you accept it, you will then have access to the spreadsheet. Now, how you get the spreadsheet every day, I post every single day on my Patreon page. So if we scroll down, you can see right now, obviously, you're not a Patreon yet, so you wouldn't be able to click on the link. It says unlock this post by becoming a Patreon. So you can see on the date that I'm recording this video, January 8th, 2022, I posted my package. That will have all the spreadsheet of what we just went over, the projections, the core plays, all those tools we went over, and you would be able to click on this link, and that'll shoot you over to the spreadsheet. Now, I post that every day. You can see 1.7, 1.8, 1.6, 1.5, etc., 1.4. So every single day, you'll come back to the Patreon page. You'll see the updated spreadsheet. It'll be a new file every day, and as long as you become a Patreon, you will have access to that. So the next step is using Google Sheets. I know people I got a lot of questions recently about how to use the filters and all this stuff. So we're going to transition over. I'm going to act as if I were you, getting access to the sheet in my email, and walk you through how to use it exactly like I did in the breakdown. Alright guys, so here we are in an external email. So this is what you guys will see after you request it. I will give you access to the sheet. You can see right here, KJK DFS shared a spreadsheet. Once I do that, you open it in your email, obviously. Go ahead and click on open. And when you do, you will have access to my spreadsheet. Now, the only thing is, when you go in here, you'll see none of those filters are at the top that we've been talking about this whole entire video. And why is that? That is because I have you in view only mode now. Why do I have you in view only mode? Because if I had other people with the ability to edit the spreadsheets, they would get all messed up. People could go in and hack it. It wouldn't be reliable data, and for security reasons. So obviously, as we go along here, you'll see all of these spreadsheets, they don't have the ability to sort at the top here. Now, how do we fix that? This is very basic fix here, guys. All you have to do, in the top left of the document, you'll see this little filter button, filter views, next to the print button. You click on that, and it'll say create new temporary filter view. You click on that. Once you do, boom, you will see all of the filters kick in. So my Draftkings projections, my Fanduel projections. All right, so in order to create this temporary filter, you're gonna do the same thing that I do when I create this sheet every morning. It's really simple, but all you have to do is highlight the data that you would like to create a filter with. So this top left next to the printer, you're gonna see create new temporary filter view. Now the easiest thing to do is to highlight the data that you want to sort. So in this case, you can see if as I scroll down here, once again, I've cleaned this up a lot throughout the season, but you just start from the right side, lower right hand, drag over the data that you want to highlight here. Just go all the way, put your mouse all the way up in the top left of your screen. You'll go all the way up. If you do this at the beginning of the day, then you just click on that filter button that we talked about in the top left, create new temporary filter view, and you will have the exact same view that I have. Now, there's some guys that aren't factored in here, DK points per minute, like I said. Anytime you see that, the div in the data, it's a simple fix. Really, if we just go ahead and sort it by Draftkings points, the best Draftkings points guys on the slate, that'll all go away. But I do have a bunch of guys in the bottom. Sometimes with all these guys signing like 10-day contracts and all that stuff, there's still guys in the data system of my spreadsheet that are in there, but the data doesn't populate to them. The data will automatically populate to the guys that actually matter, obviously. And now you can sort everything just like I was. DK point per minute. At the top here, once again, if there's a div, you just simply go down to div, turn that off. Simple fix. You can sort it by Draftkings points. You can sort it by the multiplier metric that we talked about here. So you can see the top multiplier plays, over, under, anything you want. Typically, when I use these tools, I'm really looking mostly at the Draftkings and multiplier. And then as you go along, whatever sheet that you would like to sort, if you'd like to. I'd say that the two projection tabs are the most important, that you really want to be doing that when you get the tools. But the advanced player metrics and all this stuff, you could certainly do as well. Once again, view only, it's simple. You really just go over all the data that you'd like to sort by. You scroll down, highlight it all, create that temporary filter, and then you can sort it by anything you'd like. So there's a lot of data, obviously. I do organize it in a pretty orderly fashion so that it's quick and easy for you to get to on most sheets. You're not going to have to do this on every single sheet. But anytime that you would like to, create new temporary filter view, and that's going to lock that data in. You're going to have a nice little filter and above each category. So let's say we want to sort it by points, the advanced metric, who's leading the league in points at the time. It was Drew Holiday, so he's at the top there. Offensive rebound, defensive rebound, like we were doing earlier. Offensive rebound percentage, you get the gist. So that's how you would do it. I've been receiving a lot of questions on how you would filter it like I do on the videos. That's how you do it, guys. A lot of these sheets are going to be already sorted for you in a certain way. We've kind of messed this up a little bit as I was showing the data, but if you go along the offensive half court and putbacks and all this fun stuff, you'll see a lot of this stuff sorted as is. But once again, if you'd like to sort it yourself, it's really as simple as creating that temporary filter view. You just go over the data, you lock that in, you click the filter, guys, create new temporary filter view. And you don't even have to go over the data necessarily. I like to do that so it keeps it nice and organized, but you could also just go to, let's say, you go to the sheet, just hit create new filter view, and it'll highlight the whole sheet for you, and then you can just sort it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Sometimes when you're dealing with the projection hub, etc., though, you don't want to highlight all of this stuff down here because it's a lot of mumbo jumbo, like 10-day contract players that really don't matter in the data set. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, it's as easy as clicking that create temporary filter. When you do, you can sort all this stuff, especially on these sheets. These sheets you really don't have to highlight it like I've been doing. That's just an organization thing that I like to do. But you can see offensive transition. I mean, all you got to do is click on that filter, create new temporary filter view, and then boom, you're good to go. So it's really that simple. You can sort all this data. And yeah, guys, that is how I use my tools. These are the tools that I offer over on Patreon. If you are interested in purchasing them, you can purchase them on patreon.com/KJK_DFS. And hopefully you learned a lot on this video. Hopefully you learned a lot about some basic concepts as well of, you know, what makes a good guy a good play, etc. on certain slates. If you did enjoy this video, if you could please take a second to leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content that I upload. Hit that notification bell. You'll know exactly when I upload a new video, when I go live. And yeah, guys, hopefully you learned a lot about, you know, how you should be prioritizing your NBA DFS lineups, some projection models, some tools that I have to offer. And, you know, you can apply this to other projection models that you use if you use other tools or something. I don't know that they have all these sheets that I've gone over in this video, but if they do, you know, same thing. So yeah, guys, hopefully you learned something. If you did, would greatly appreciate a like. Wishing you all the best of luck the rest of the NBA DFS season. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments, guys. So, yeah, best of luck to you guys throughout the rest of the NBA DFS season, and we will see you in the next one.